Chef Sandra. I know you've heard me talk about how I'm nuts about butternut squash. Well, I'm getting ready to make some butternut squash soup that I'm going to take to my mom and dad when I go visit them in Denison tomorrow. So let me show you what all goes into my version of butternut squash soup. Okay, so for those of you who are not really sure what butternut squash looks like, this is butternut squash. And I used a squash that was probably about half this size for the recipe that I'm going to be making. But if you were to use a squash this size, you would probably get about 4 to 5 cups of butternut squash out of that. Okay, let me show you all of the ingredients that I use in my butternut squash soup. We're talking about a lot of flavor here. I have about 2 cups of butternut squash that I got. I roasted 1 whole butternut squash, about half the size of the squash that I have here, and for about an hour and a half, I split it open and then I scooped out the insides to give me about 2 cups. This size would give you probably about 4 to 5 cups. I have 1 whole apple cut up here. I have 1 onion that I've chopped. I have some minced garlic. We'll use about 2 tablespoons of garlic. I've got some fresh ginger. This is where the flavor really comes into play. I've got about 2 stalks of celery chopped, and I have some carrots. And the last thing we're going to use is some chicken broth. And we might add a little cream at the end. So these are all the ingredients that we're going to use. And now let me show you how this soup comes together. We're going to start by sauteing some onion and let that saute up. And we're also going to add to that about a couple of tablespoons of fresh garlic. We're going to throw in a little fresh ginger. Now the ginger is what really, to me, gives it the flavor that I really like in my soup. So we're going to add a little fresh ginger. We're also going to go ahead and add our celery. And we're going to saute our carrots as well. Now the carrots, that's optional. You can also add them to the soup as you're cooking it. But I'm going to turn this fire up just a little bit, about a medium-high heat, and we're going to let that saute for about 5 minutes. Just a little bit of pepper, just a little bit of salt. Okay, so now we've got all of our vegetables sauteed here. So now we're going to start pulling this soup together. Okay, so we're going to pour in our chicken broth into the pan. Now we're going to add our vegetables in. Okay. And we're going to also add in our apple. And of course our squash. Let's pour all of our squash in. We're going to give that a nice stir, and we're going to have this heat on about a medium heat, and we're going to let all of these flavors just meld together. And then we're going to come back, let that cook down. It's probably going to take a good 20 minutes or so for all those flavors to blend. And then we're going to get to the final stages. We're going to blend that together, and we're going to add maybe a little cream to it at the end, and we'll let you taste it. It's going to be delicious. Now I've gotten my infusion blender. We've let all of this cook together for about 20 minutes or so. And if you don't have an infusion blender, you can just use a regular blender just to blend and puree all of your soup together. But we're going to use this, and we're going to turn this on and let this blend until it gets to a really smooth consistency. We've just about got it just about where we need it now. And so I'm going to let that all of those flavors come together here. Blend that together really until it gets nice and smooth. That looks pretty good right there. So let's stop right there. And now here's my favorite part. Let's taste this soup. Look how creamy this is. We're going to pour this right into this bowl here. Look at that. It's delicious. Can't wait to taste it. All right, let's finish it off with just a little bit of garnish here and give it a taste. So delicious. My mom and dad are going to love this soup, and you know what? Your family's going to enjoy this too.